Yes. All right. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, all welcome to today's class. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Can we start with our take home from the previous class, please? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Can we start with our take home from the previous class, please? Take home from the previous class. You take away. Who's going first?
Okay, I'm Daniel Raja.
You're welcome, sir. You can go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Okay, concerning our last class, our last teaching on building code and the regulatory compliance, I learned a lot because the teaching was pointing to us that FM career also includes some legal experiences and practices. So it made us to understand the fact that as FMs, we are the ones that we look out for some governmental sectors, personalities that will be interested on what we are doing as FM in our facility, and also the fact that we need to keep to some rules and regulations, especially in the area of building. I learned that we should need to start getting certified and approval from the beginning of laying the structure of the building, from the foundation, and at every point after laying the foundation, we need to get certification. After doing the erection, the blocking, we need to get certification. And also, after completing the building, we also need to get certification before we can be able to start occupying the structure. And also, in the area of compliance, I also learned some of the things that can be obstacle to compliance. The fact that the financial requirements to get all this certification can be an obstacle. The fact that some requirement can be so expensive and bogus for landlords and stakeholders that will lead them to fight back or to obstruct the compliance. Also, the fact that some people can also be totally ignorant of the fact that they need to get some certification. I also learned that different certifications will give us approval for different purposes of occupancy, as in there are some areas that will be mapped out for constructing companies. And as an FM, I hope you are hearing me.
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so as an FM, we need to, it is these very codes that will guarantee us to know some areas meant for, that is for companies, meant for residential facilities. And in the absence of all these code and regulations, you might find yourself making mistake of constructing in a place that is not meant for, constructing a company in a place meant for residential facility and vice versa. So those are the things I learned and I was really impacted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daniel. Um, would any other person like to give us their take home from the last class?
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening. You're welcome, sir.
Okay, one of the things I learned is the difference between a code and a standard. While building codes are legal requirements set by law and by government authority to ensure for safety, health, and welfare, building standards, on the other hand, are technical specifications for guidelines that helps us describe how we are going to meet this code. So though they are closely related, one is mandatory and the other one may be voluntary, or at times is also mandatory, which is the standards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay. I think we can get started now. Mr. Samuel, can you hear me?
Yes, trying to unmute. Can you hear me? Good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
All right, loud and clear.
Very well.
You can hear me, right?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. And it's good to be here. I listened to Baru and one other person talking about what you learned from last class. This is good, especially for FMs practicing in Lagos and some other top cities in the world. Building codes and safety is becoming a daily issues now, right? Because we've had a lot of demolitions, we've had a lot of urban and regional planning, enforcement and all of that. So it's a good thing that you are imbibing, and I hope you put it in practice and make those buildings, more sustainable and better for people to live in. Much more than that, also, so that your clients can also trust you. Please kindly confirm that you could hear me seamlessly, and then we go to the course straight up. Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you, sir.
Okay, all right. So now let's look at real estate and property management. Uh, in the course of that, I'll introduce myself. Let me make this smaller. Okay. Uh, all right. So the course this evening is real estate and property management, and uh, the first thing is real estate, and the other is property management. My name is Samuel, I'm a property lawyer and also a facility manager like you. Uh, I'm mostly playing in the area of property management, so and that's what I'll be handling today. This is not moving yet. Stop playing. Okay. Okay, just give me some seconds to get my slide to. Okay, so I studied law at FMMC University, finishing top 5 in my class, the second class upper division. I also finished top 3% with the first class at Nigerian Law School. I have 7 years experience managing tenants in residential buildings, and you know what that means, right? It can be stressful sometimes, but some strategies that I've learned and the doggedness have helped me to be able to scale. I've worked with the Montfort University UK, country attorneys and solicitors, Lonely Planet Guides, and I'm currently managing the managing counsel for my law firm, Barris and Garnett, Barristers and Solicitors, a law firm, real estate law firm in Lagos State. This topic is very important and dear to my heart because this is something that if you have a good knowledge of, you can be able to smile home with some bonuses and also because if you work with a company, investors are looking for more money. And if you're able to give them more money, they also give you bonus or they will promote you. And promotions usually come with some perks. So it's a very important topic as a facility manager. You must understand the place of real estate in what you are managing. In fact, everything you are managing is real estate, right? And you are managing the real estate to the benefit of people. Now, people everything revolves around the people. And I want you to be very careful how you treat those people too. Because if you don't treat them well, uh, you won't get the best out of whatever you're doing. So, facility management, when I started, I thought, oh, is to we manage non-living things like generator and all of this, but I got to know from this program that it is actually not tools and hammers or generator or the machines, but you're actually managing the people, right? But you are using these tools, these machines, right, to be able to satisfy them. And if you're able to do that excellently, yes, you can now be called a facility manager, right? So we'll look at introduction and the importance of communication in FM. We'll also look at guiding principles for real estate and property management. What are the principles that you need to take note of as an FM? Very important. And then we'll look at the real estate master plan. What does it mean? And then how do you manage and purchase real estate and leasing real estate? So let's go into it. Module 1. What is real estate and what is property management? First is real estate. What is real estate? This is very important when it comes to managing properties. Now, real estate in law means the land and everything that is on it. Now, when you talk about real estate, you are not just talking about just buildings. It goes much more than that, right? So real estate is a very, very broad concept. And as a matter of fact, it is something that you must, get a good hang of it so that, of course, you can make good money for your investors, like I said earlier on. But much more than that, said it's something that revolves around almost everything that you're doing as a facility manager. So what is real estate? In law, real estate means everything, land and everything that is on it. So the building and all of those things is real estate. Now, in law, there are different types of properties. All the properties you have are called estate. So if we say the estate of Chief Akubasa, that means it is all his property. If we say the estate of Mr. Innocent, that means it's all his property. So now, real estate now means those particular estates that are attached to land, right? So if we now look at your properties, I will see that, oh, which of the properties are actually attached to land. So the ones that are attached to land are called real estate, right? Very important. Now, what do we call property management? Property management, from the word property, it means that, for me, the whole idea is that you're trying to maximize profit for the property owner. That's the whole idea of property management. If you are not maximizing profit, if you are not making money for the property owner, then it means that you are not doing so much, right? So property management is an arm of FM, right? It's just a small arm of FM. Not as broad as the broader FM, right? So that sees to the managing of properties to the benefit of the end users. And of course, you are creating value, more money for the property owners also. So this is very important, right? As we move on in this particular course. So as an FM, how do you now maximize this property management to the good of the property owners and also the end users? Right. I want you to take note of something. When you're managing a property, there are two divergent interests. So two people's interests are at stake. One, the interest of the end user. Number two, the interest of the property owner. Sometimes the property owners, of course, they have built the property just so they can make good profits from it. But you have been asked to manage it. The tenants have also, given you money. They've paid for that particular apartment just so they can also get the best out of it. So what happens? How do you now balance this conflicting? Sometimes there might be conflicting interest, right? The tenant is asking for something, the landlord is also asking for another thing. So how do you balance this interest? It is what you, as a property manager, must do, right? So very important, very important. So that's what we're going to look at today. I'm trying to get my slides up again. So just give me a second. I want to confirm if you can still see my screen.
Yes, your screen is visible.
You can see, right?
Yes, I can see real estate and property management on the
Okay,
screen.
okay. Let me
watch football, not like before, obviously.
bring it up. Just give me. Can you still see it? Please, can you confirm that you can see it?
I can see it.
All right, all right. So let's dive into the topic and see how you can maximize tenant satisfaction and also the landlord's uh, return on investment, right? So first thing is we look at investing in real estate. As an FM, if you work for a company or you work for a direct client, you need to understand that first, every client has invested their money into that particular real estate. Real estate is not cheap. Real estate is not popcorn. It's not granules. It costs a lot. In Magodo area, a 300 square meter, which is half plot, is around 150 million. In Lekki, of course, way more than that. In some other areas in Lagos too, very expensive. Talk more of the building on it and all that. So now, as an FM, your company may decide to invest in real estate. Now, the first thing is that you need to have this knowledge of what's the asset life cycle, right? As an FM, how does this asset evolve from how you want to buy it, the kind of agents, the lawyers, and all of these people that will be part of the purchase, and to operation, right? How do you manage this property, maximizing it for the complete use of your company, and eventually disposal? If you want to sell, will you sell higher or lower, right? So you must have this knowledge from the beginning to the end, right? So that when you are pitching to them, you're able to make them see the value of what they want to buy. Maybe you feel that you need a bigger office space. How do you pitch this thing so that when you're making your case, right, business case, we call it in FM, how do you do it successfully? You need to understand the asset life cycle of real estate, just like you need to understand sometimes the asset life cycle of a generator, right? So you need to understand from acquisition to operation up to the disposal. Very important. You need to have that clear knowledge to convince them. Also, contribution to investment decision. You need to provide data as an FM on building performance. How much is it going to cost them to maintain the building, right? Do they really need the space? If you are asking them to move to a bigger space, or you are saying that, okay, this space, we need more aesthetic space, a more beautiful space, because let me be sincere with you, most customers or clients will most likely rate you based on how your building looks like. You understand what I mean? If you as a person, you are going for an interview and you see a building, right? Maybe it's just 2 floors, and you see another high rise, and it's the high rise that is calling you for interview. You know how you feel, right? In that interview, you almost want to give your best because you feel that, oh, these people have money and they will be able to pay me better. So the same way too, clients think that way too. They feel that if you have good building, then better services, right? Although it's not in all cases true, right? So another thing is that you must support value-driven development. You must be able to align your design with long-term goal, right? That is why as an FM, you must be thinking as a director so that you can move up higher. If you're always thinking as a low-level FM, you will not be able to come up higher as a C-suite FM, because they will just see you as when you share uh certain plans, it does not align with their future goals. So you need to study, where is this company going and how can I align my design or specification to meet this goal. So when you present to them at that point, it makes a lot of sense that, oh, you are asking us to invest in this real estate, but you also understand where we are going, and this your design will meet that specification. They will listen to you. But if you are talking of 1-2 years, they may not they may not listen to you because you are not speaking to their long-term investment goal. Also, you must be able to optimize operational costs, right? How do you reduce energy costs, waste, downtime, all of these things, right? So if you want us to buy. Now, risk assessment is also very important. There are a lot of risk in investing in real estate these days. Demolitions, right? Recently, I think about 2 weeks, some demolitions still happen in Ikota, right? They will ask you, oh, if we buy this property, are they not going to demolish the property, right? what are the approvals that we need? And when I joined the call, some people were talking about building codes the last class. Very important. How do you make sure that if you are buying, the person you are buying from has complied with the law, so that you don't finish buying and then they send you packing out of that place? Already, even if they don't sack you, you know that your job is shaking, right? Then also, how do you drive sustainability, right? In what you're doing as a company, especially if the company prioritizes sustainability, which every company ought to, right? How do you prioritize that in your pitch so that they will see that, okay, apart from profit, sustainability is also part of what you're talking about? And if you have a long-term investment goal, that will be part of your score sheet in sustainability. Then also enhance asset appreciation. How do you maintain this property to continue to yield good value for the investors and the company, right? Or your clients that you are managing the property for? How do you continue to make it state-of-the-art facility that people would like to pay good money for? Very important. Then how do you bridge strategy and execution? How do you translate their corporate investment strategies into your own practical facility outcomes? So they have a strategy that this is what we want to achieve. In so year, we should be valued at $2 trillion, right? In 1 year, in 2 years. How do you translate that into your own practical facility outcomes? You are now looking at it that, okay, if we want to make $2 trillion in 2 years, how can I structure myself or the things I'm doing or these real estate investments that will now help us catch up with this investment strategy? I'm telling you, these are things that will make you grow fast. Because let me be sincere with you, you are not just there to hold hammers and chisel. You are there to make more money for the company. And if you are not making more money, sorry, you have issues with them. Even though you may be doing everything and you're like, you're almost like fagged out. But if you are not making money for the company, they may see you as not doing so much, right? Now, what are the benefits of investing in real estate? When you invest in real estate as a company, this is what you can help them understand, that they will have a stable asset base. Now, what does this mean? Every company wants a good asset base. Now, most companies, what has made them to go under is because they had so much liability and little assets. So you must be able to preach to the company and tell them and make them understand and pitch to them that, see, we need to increase our assets, and that is why we need to invest in this real estate, because it helps us also to have a predictable infrastructure. We are not looking for the infrastructure that somebody built somewhere and then you are waiting, and if the person does not give you as and when due, it means that you lose it. I was reading the book by Femi Etodala, Making It Big, and he said something about his suppliers that at some point he want to get some supply from them and then they will disappoint him. Sometimes in business it happens, right? So you can be able to tell them that instead of waiting for somebody to rent out, we can have our own so that we have that stability. That's number one. Number two is that you can control the cost. Yes, this is very important. If you rent a space today, we see a lot of people contact me and say, barrister, my landlord just increased my rent from so amount to so amount and all of that. And the thing is, how do you cope, right? How do you cope as a person, as a company, in that kind of situation where your rent is increased almost every time? So you can't control the cost. So your cost projection for this year may likely increase, right? Or for next year may likely increase because your rent can also increase. In 1 month, they can increase your rent before the end of the expiration of that current term. So it's very important. One of the benefits of real estate is to help you now increase that cost control opportunity. Then also increased asset value through good FM. Yes, you can now increase the value through effective maintenance. You can upgrade certain features and that will help you. Some people, when they see that their employees are no longer really coming, they can convert it to office space for people to come and rent. It helps you with that kind of flexibility. Then security of tenure. As an FM, you can now plan confidently without fear of lease termination, because these things happen and it can disrupt your plans. Right? As an FM, it gives you that level of confidence that, okay, we own this building, right? Or maybe better still, the company can go for lease if they cannot buy. They can go for 10 years lease, 20 years lease, in some cases. Now, also customization of spaces. So you can now customize your space to what suits you, right? In some cases, if you want to do certain things, you need the approval of the landlord. In fact, let me say in all cases, because it is not your building, you need approval from the landlord. Now, in some cases, they will refuse. They'll say, no, 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 you have compromised my building. I actually built this place for residential. You want to use it for commercial, fine. But you cannot modify it and take it out of the residential ambit, right? So, but when you own your own real estate as a company, as an FM, as you are talking to the clients or the company, it helps you to customize the space to your peculiar need. Then also sustainability in ROI too. You can you can sustain the return on investment, right? Because you are now trying to also put in some factors that helps for uh uh um FM planning, and also some level of predictability, right? Because you know that the building belongs to you, that predictability is always there, right? And also you look at your capital expenditure, right? It helps you to be able to plan your capital expenditure, your improvement on the building. In fact, it's even easier for you to improve the building because you know it is yours. But in some cases, when you rent it, there are certain improvements that you don't want to do. Because I mean, there was a lady that did improvements, I think about she spent around 5 million naira. Eventually, they asked her to leave after 1 year. Now, let's take, for example, you are an FM working for that kind of a company, right? After spending 5 million naira to improve, just a small store, right? She fixed POP, did a number of things, and they asked her to leave after 1 year. Now, I saw it on social media. What? Yeah, why destroying it? Of course, to go for real estate instead. Stronger alignment with business goal. It helps to enhance your control over your physical assets. This is also very important. All right. I hope you can still hear me. Please kindly confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Thank you so much. All right.
We can hear you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So let's look at benefits of a real estate policy. As an FM, see, things have gone beyond looking at real estate as maybe second place. You have to put real estate in the first place, because everything you're managing, the land, it starts with the land, it starts with the building, all of the people coming into that building. Real estate goes to the roots of facility management, right? Because if there's no building, if there's no canopy, some churches or some commercial spaces, they use just a canopy, beautifully made. When you enter it, you feel that you are inside a normal building. But what I'm trying to say is that even if it's not a building, even if it's a canopy, right? What we are saying is that real estate is very important and you must take it serious. Recently, a particular, I think, green area in Abuja was demolished. They lost a lot of money. Why? Because government policies came. So, what are the benefits of real estate policy as an FM? Number one, it gives you a clear guidelines for decision making. So, as part of your policy as an FM, your asset register is there, all those other things are there. you must also form a real estate policy for your company so that it will guide them on when to buy real estate, when to rent, all of these things. Do they need to lease or rent? How do they maintain? What's their level of maintenance? Where do they put these things? Where do they rank real estate maintenance, right? And it depends on the industry that you are in. There are certain industries that you have to paint the building almost every year because you are appealing to the uh, imagery and the aesthetics part of what people are doing. So it's very important as an FM that you take note of this. There must be a policy that you are working with. Also, it helps you to align real estate with organizational strategy. So if you already have a policy, then it helps you as an FM to be able to now align whatever you are doing with the strategy of the organization. Then also it supports your efficient facility planning. So when there is a policy, so what policies does is that there's a framework that you always want to go back to check, right? There's a framework that helps you to check or checkmate your decisions. So this is very important as an FM. You must come up with a policy that will help you to checkmate your decisions against that policy background. Then also it improves your budgeting and cost control. So you know what to spend money on. You know that, okay, this year, this is what we want to do. And this is the policy, real estate policy that will back it up. You know when to spend money and when not to spend, right? As an FM, one of the pillars is that you're a financial expert. Let me summarize it that way. That means you are able to manage finance for the company. They shouldn't see you as somebody who spends money. Most people say FFs as, it's always coming for money. And that is true. But when you are able to plow back money by cost control, right? Maybe the previous FM spent like 3 billion trying to manage the facility, and you spent maybe 2.5. Yes, you've not made money directly from for the company, but you have made money indirectly for the company. And a lot of things that happen on our site is just waste. Let's face the reality. A lot of waste is going on in a lot of facilities. So it's very important that you take note of this. Then also, you must be able to streamline approvals and governance processes. This is very important. There are a lot of approval issues, especially if you're in Lagos State, right? A lot of issues around approval and all of this. So as an FM, you must be able to reduce delays. If you are building, so if you want to set up a new building, there are certain stages that LABCA, Lagos State Building Control Agency, they have to come and inspect. So before you get to that stage, you're already prepping them. What do I mean? You are preparing them that, okay, by so time, we'll get to this stage and we want you to come and check before we proceed to the next one, right? So it's very important that you don't just leave it to them, because at the end of the day, you still need that certificate from them, for you to now inhabit that particular building. So it's very important that you carry them along and make sure approval and all these government bottleneck does not take time from you, because in FM, time is also tantamount to money. Now, let's look at property management and facility management. What's the difference? So you call yourself an FM, another person calls himself a PM or a property management manager rather. What's the difference, right? There's a slight difference between these two. In property management, usually property management focus on managing renters. So you get the tenants, they come in, they pay their rent, you give them instruction on what to do. If there is anything to be fixed, they call you, you get the vendor, they do it. Towards the rent expiration time, you serve them notice to remind them and then when they pay, you remit. So all of this tenant relation is mostly in property management. So you are overseeing marketing of the property where there is vacancy. You are dealing with agent too. Let's be real, right? So you're also ensuring that there's compliance with real estate laws and regulations. There are a number of laws, most especially the tenancy law. In any state you are practicing, the tenancy law is very important. Please go and read it. If you're a property management manager, you are interfacing directly with tenants. Please read the laws. Don't say, I'm not a lawyer. Read the laws. There was a particular facility manager or property manager rather that was he almost went to jail. And what happened? The tenant was owing, so he locked up the tenant's shop, and eventually the tenant said, "Oh, I kept so amount of money in that shop," and so they arrested the property manager and locked him up. He got bail. He was going to court doing the case for several months. Now, he almost went to jail just because of that single action. Yes, there was no money in the place, but people usually come up with some of these lies. So don't play into their hands. Very important. So that's why you need to know the law so that you don't play into their hands. Number two, who is a facility manager? Why is facility management different from property management? Yes, in facility management, you are not into renters directly most times, right? You are into managing day-to-day maintenance and repair. So anything that has to do with safety, comfort of the people, right? So in most cases, property managers manage maybe one unit, right? So it may be, let's say, out of the 100 units in an estate, the person is only in charge of one unit. But for a facility manager, you are in charge of all the 100 units. But you are not, most times, you are not in charge of rental or all those things. So you are only in charge of the facilities themselves, the machines and all of that, how they are running and providing comfort and functionality to the people, right? So anything that has to do with utilities, equipment, workplace planning, sustainability goals, you are more of a broader. So a manager is a broader terminology, and the scope of facility management or facility manager is actually broader than a property manager. So you can have a property manager under a facility manager most times. So a facility manager is in charge of the whole estate. They can have property managers in charge of, different clients. So let me give you a typical example. If a developer builds an estate, they will sell the units, right? Now, there will be an FM that is in charge. We usually put them in, what's the name? Estate office, right? Or management office. Now, the facility manager is in charge of the functionality of that whole space. But the property manager is in charge of just that one unit, right? Maybe it's a client bought the one unit. I say, okay, I'm living abroad. I can't manage this unit. So just manage it, collect the rent and remit. So he collects rent, he remits, and make sure that if there's any issue, he attends to it, right? So that's that. Now, what are the guiding principles for real estate and property management? So number one principle is that you must understand the property's purpose. Is the property residential? If the purpose of something is not known, they say that abuse is inevitable. So if you don't know why something is there, then there's likelihood that that thing will be abused. So what is this property for? Is it residential? Is it commercial? Is it industrial? That's very important. And what is the goal of the owner? Is it for cash flow or for long-term value? Cash flow is that immediately we want money. Long-term value is that we want the property to be there for a good number of years, right? Another thing is that compliance is non-negotiable. If you are managing real estate, compliance with laws is non-negotiable. I just shared with you what happened to that person, and I don't want it to happen to anybody on this call. So it's very important that you comply very well. with laws, tenancy laws, building codes. Last class was on building codes. Very important. Please take these things in your hands. And let me tell you something. If you are an expert in all these things, your money is coming very soon, because we'll get to a point where clients will not like to do anything with people that are not vast, because they are already demolishing their houses. So they don't want somebody who is not vast to talk to them. And at that point, you just name your price. Just name your price. So please build capacity when it comes to building codes, laws, approvals, and all of these things. So things that have to do with fire certification. Remember the last building that got the fire got it, and a number of employees lost their lives. I think after like 2 weeks, one of the company, I think it was Union Bank building, they also did fire drill. And I was asking myself, why didn't they show us this fire drill months before? Maybe they've not done it for a while. I don't know. But what we're trying to say is that when things happen, people tend to wake up and say, okay, let's see what we can do. So please make sure your competence is very, very excellent when it comes to compliance. Compliance is very important, because you will make a lot of money from it. I promise you, right? You make a lot of money from it. And people, your clients, your employers will also respect you for that, because you help them to save money if you are able to know these things. Don't say you are not a lawyer. You actually need knowledge of these things so that you can also distinguish yourself in the FM space. Also, principle 3 is that manage tenant relationships well. Please be fair. Be fair to people. Be human. Be human first before you start saying other things. Let people feel that you're actually human. A lot of times people just pounce on people. When tenants feel that you don't feel their pain, they will also come back to you. They will dispose all the frustrations that they are going through. So please manage tenant relationships well. Be fair, but of course, at the same time, be also firm and be responsive. When they call you, be responsive. Don't let them feel that as soon as you collect money as the property manager, as soon as you collect rent, you don't pick calls again, I don't respond to messages. No. Then the next time is when rent is about to come. No, please don't do that. Sometimes, even when the country is hard, you can send them messages and say, okay, with the current issues in the country and all of that, I hope you are fine. I hope you are doing well. It is good, human, right? Don't let them frustrate us. There was a time I did that, and I know they appreciated it. So please, it's very important. Just send those messages. Let it not be that it is only when you want to collect rent. And also handle issues fast. Be proactive. Be proactive. What we teach in FMMC is proactive FM. Like, you are not responding to things. You are not reacting to things. You are proactive. You are there before those things happen. If you can get to that level, you are at an excellent stage that you can go anywhere in the world. Then, of course, good tenants stay, but bad management drive them away. Principle 4 is prioritize functionality and safety. You need to do routine checks and make sure you avoid emergencies. at you know Avoid emergencies at all costs, right? They monitor power, plumbing. Maintenance is cheaper than repair, right? We know that when you have to respond to something, it's usually more expensive. Then also transparent financial management between the landlord and the tenant. If the tenants have given you money, please be transparent with their money. If the landlord has, some property managers or FM, they have been, I even heard of an FM that leased. That place is at, for people who are in Lagos, is at Orchid Road, Ikota. The FM, the FM had the mind to go ahead, right, to lease a house that was vacant. So this person bought the house, the person stays abroad, bought the house and left it vacant. The FM observed, and after some time, leased it out for 10 million naira. And of course, pocketed the money, right? This is very bad. So as an FM, be transparent in your financial management. when you collect rent, let it be transparent. If you want to, if they have given you money to do something, be transparent. Your receipt and how you have spent the money is very important. So avoid mixing your personal money with property money. Please, if you are an FM company, please have a special client account. If you are still working for your employers, please make sure you are able to separate their money from your own. Please, transparency will build trust with the property owners. Also, think sustainability. Use solars, inverters, LED bulbs, water savers, all of these things that can help you have a sustainable facility. Then anything that has to do with generator dependency, you can try to reduce it where possible so that it can help you optimize costs, right? Now, also know the local markets, right? Understand the rental prices. These days, let me confirm if you can still hear me. Can you still hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Yes, sir, I can hear you. I can
All
hear
right,
you.
thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So you must know the local market. Please don't be an FM that does not know what is happening in the market, right? How much is the rent going for in that axis, right? How can you optimize costs also for the landowner, sorry, for the landlord, and also for maybe if you work for an FM company? And how do you advise your clients so that they can upgrade their building for a better rental value, right? Then what are the real estate trends that are happening? Currently now, landlords are increasing rents. For the past 1 year, about 1 year ago, we've had that trend across board, whether anywhere in Lagos, landlords are increasing rents. Let me not say, I know for other states it's also happening, but majorly in Lagos, the trend has been there. Landlords are, as a property manager, my landlord has reached out to me and say, please, you need to increase the rent, right? So please make sure you know about the market. Make sure you know about it. This picture is a picture of the interview I had with New Central, and it was around the period where people were clamoring for, oh, rent is high, and all of that. Yes, truly, people were increasing rent by 100%, right? As a property manager also, you must be able to advise your clients. Don't just say, oh, you asked me to increase from 600 to 1.2. Why are you increasing? Can you advise your client? Because it's not just about increasing. Will that client be able to pay? Also, principle 8 is that use technology to your advantage. So technology will help you a lot. CCTV, digital communication, WhatsApp, email, all of these things will really help you. Tech will save your time and it will also prevent chaos in your facility. Then also stay legally informed. I've said this countless time in this particular session. Please make sure you are legally informed. Right now, they're trying to change the tenancy law, right? Be informed, know what is going to happen and how it's going to affect your facility before they happen. And know something that ignorantia legis non excusat. I'm not speaking in tongue. It's a Latin phrase which says ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Ignorantia legis non excusat. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Now, I did not know. You must know. Then also communicate proactively. Regular updates is very important. Quick, clear responses to clients, to tenants. This is very important. Now, your corporate branding is also a very important thing. As an FM or as a company, if you're working for a company, your corporate branding is also very important. If you're an FM company and you are on this call, your corporate branding is very important. Your colors, how you present yourself to people, and all of that. If you're an FM, when I did my course, FMMC course, I remember one of my classmates said that one day he was wearing a suit jacket, and then one of the residents was like, FM, you're wearing suits today. And that's to tell you that okay, they don't expect him to wear a suit, right? That's because of branding, right? So, and people will relate with you based on how they perceive you. So branding is your perception, right? The perception of people about you. So if they perceive you as somebody who is honest, fine. Some people perceive other FM as people who are just looking for money. They want to rip people off, right? Then also your perception as to trust, right? Are you reliable? Are you building an excellent uh 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 image as a company? So if they don't see that you prioritize excellence, they will also come for you. So your branding is very important, right? As an FM or a PM. Now, your regulations and standard is also very important. You have to look at the laws related to properties, building codes, uh, tenants' rights, environmental laws. Recently, one woman that was cooking on the Lekki median, they arrested her. Why? Environmental laws. Although she said she was cooking the food to for charity sake, but of course, you have to still comply with the laws. Now, people also discharge feces into the gutter, drainages, and all of that. There have been, some facilities have been locked up because of that. I remember there was a facility, a particular supermarket close to my place where I used to buy things, right? That place was locked up for like I think up to a month or two, right? They locked it up. It was LAPCA, a Lagos State Building Control Agency. Perhaps they did not obtain approval or they did not follow through. So all of these things are very important as an FM. Then in arriving at your life cycle costing, these are certain components that you need to look at, right? Life cycle talks about the total cost of owning a property from the beginning to the end. So if you want to convince people to buy a property, your client or anybody, that you need a bigger space. Maybe your client is a business and they're looking for a commercial space. Maybe they want Lekki or they want VI or wherever, right? What the thought in their mind is that can we afford this property? So in your mind, you should be able to tell them, okay, let me give you a breakdown of the life cycle cost. So the cost of owning it, you can break it down into different segments. The cost of due diligence to check whether the property is good. The cost of paying the lawyer for property documentation. The cost of the agency, right? And some other associated costs, which may not surface at the beginning, right? The cost of perfecting your title also if you are buying. So now when you move from all of those costs, you have to come to operating costs. How many times do you have to service the AC? Perhaps the place is a place prone to dust and all of that. You have to service the AC more. So all of these costs will come in. Operating costs, maintaining costs, and eventually disposing the assets. How much will you spend in selling it, right? So these are some of the things you need to take note of. So you talk from acquisition to operation to utility to repair, renovation, and end of the life. When you want to resell, how much will the agent collect? How much will your lawyer charge? Is it 10% or 5%? Now, the age and condition of property is also very important when you look at the value of a property. Look at these two properties, they are not the same, right? So age is not just number, it also influences the level of maintenance that you do. If it's a new building, you don't expect to do so much maintenance as you would do in an old building, right? If it's a building that was also properly built, I've managed buildings before. There's a particular one part of the buildings that I'm managing that the level of maintenance and the kind of things that we maintain, I feel that they shouldn't be coming up at that time. At least we should give it some more space. The building that is less than 10 years, you're already fixing certain things. So I feel no, it shouldn't come up at this time. But it is what it is. Sometimes you don't know what went through, but from my investigation, what I heard is that I think about three engineers worked on that building alone. So this one will work, they'll ask him to go. This one will work. So those things can actually affect the quality of a building at the end of the day. So condition assessment is also very important. You have to observe the building. Older buildings, you have to pay higher in operating expenses, and you have to plan your capital expenditure also based on the condition of the building too. How much are you going to spend on that asset, right? It's based on the building, not based on not an imaginary building. So it has to be based on the condition of the building. Then also, how do you support real estate decision? You now have to, as an FM, advise the management on whether they need to renovate or they need to repurpose. Repurpose can mean that maybe the building was for residential before. Can we repurpose it to commercial to make more money? Then you now have to dispose based on age and condition. So these are certain factors that can help you as an FM when you want to assess the condition of a building and whether you should go for it or not. Because sometimes it may be the difference of 5 million or 10 million. You now go for a older building, but you know that that 5 or 10 that you have saved, you spend it much more on the new building. But then the fact that a building is old does not mean that it does not have quality. Some old buildings have more quality than new buildings, right? So it's not a straight jacket thing, right? So you have to consider the condition of both buildings. Then you have to look at your analysis also. How do you now analyze this investment method? So there are different ways to analyze real estate investment um, strategy, or whether it is good for you to go for a real estate asset. One of them is ROI, which is very common. What is the return on investment? So if we buy this property in the next 10 years, how much are we going to get? So somebody wants to buy a 2-bedroom in Lekki and is asking, how much am I going to get in 3 years, in 2 years? When am I going to finish paying for the cost of purchasing the building? And when can I get a return on my investment, right? Then also you look at net present value, because the fact that you made 100 million after 2 years does not mean that that is the whole amount, because you have to net it based on the future value of that money, right? Because we know what inflation has done to our naira, over time. So you have to net it based on that. Then also payback period. Some people have asked questions about, if I buy a property for rent, for investment purpose, how long will it take for me to recoup my capital, right? Some people will say, oh, it may take 15 years, it may take 20 years, it may take this. Now, sometimes in calculating that thing, you have to also factor the capital, trying to get the word, the capital appreciation of that particular property, not just the rent you're getting, right? But the property was valued for 120 earlier year. What is it valued for this particular time? It may be 130, it may be 125, right? So you have to also look at that, not just that you pay back period, but you have to also factor other factors. For me, I would say that you use ROI, NPV, and payback period. And of course, holistically, because if you use ROI, you are not likely to buy that property, because eventually some people will complain that, oh, as I'm getting this rent, I'm also using it to fix a lot of things. I've heard, investors say that. Yes, but then the capital appreciation on the land, on the building, right? So they are not looking at that. They're only looking at what they're applying back into the investment. So these are certain things that as an FM you need to understand, so that you can analyze for them and make them see that they're not just making money from rent, they're also making money from capital appreciation. What are the tools for property valuation? You can use comparative market analysis. So I am not an estate valuer. I don't know if we have any estate valuer on this call, but estate valuers are the ones who value properties, and they help you know the value of that particular property. However, for laymen like us, in this case now I'm a layman, you can use comparative market analysis. So how much is similar properties selling for, right, in the same area? Similar properties, 2-bedroom, 2-bedroom, Magodo, Ikeja GRA. How much is it selling for, right? Maybe the same space, not so much, the same square meter and all of that. So That will help you. Then income approach will also help you to evaluate the property. What's the earning potential of that particular property? Then cost approach, estimate it based on the cost of constructing the property. Similar property. So take for example, you are trying to get the value of a 2 bedroom in let me use another area. I've been using posh areas in Lagos. So let me use let me use another area. Let's say you want to evaluate a property, 2 bedroom in Ikorodu or in Epe or in Badagry. So outskirts of Lagos. Now, and you are using cost approach. So you use it. What's the cost of constructing this particular property today minus depreciation, right? So the cost of constructing it today is, let's say, 50 million. Oh, we have used it for 25 years. You minus the depreciation. That will help you to also know the property value. Let me hear from you. Are you getting anything so far? Have you gotten anything so far? If you have gotten anything, I'll just like to hear you. Just respond.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes. A lot.
All right.
A
Yes,
whole
we
lot.
have been in doubt.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you. So let's look at your real estate master plan. So this course is not just for you to let me say this at this point. It's not just for you to maybe pass the FMMC exam or get your FMD and that's all. No. I also want you to also imbibe this personally as a person. Make sure you also use this in your personal life and also for your clients too. Because at this point, it's not just clients are not even looking for maybe you graduated from Harvard and all of that. Can you offer value? And one of the ways to make clients know that you offer value is your knowledge base. And no matter how much you know, please also prioritize visibility. It's very important. Be visible. Be visible. One of the very fast way to become visible is show up online. Please, it's very important. Now, these things that you've learned and much more, right? Make sure you are able to use it practically and you're also able to share practical tips that people can now come for consultation. They can also hire you for a number of things. So as an FM, we need to do more at this time. So well, let's look at real estate master plan. As an FM, how do you align your master plan to corporate strategic plan? This is very important. Whether as a property manager, as a facility manager, the corporate strategy plan is what where the company is going. And let me say something. A particular person approached a a cleaner and asked the cleaner, who are you and what do you do? The cleaner says that, okay, I think the company helps people to go to space. So the cleaner did not say, oh, I help the company to clean. I help the company to, no, no, no. The cleaner didn't say that. The cleaner said, I help this company to take people to space. Now, that is what it means, really. Because all of the things you are doing, you are helping the company's corporate strategy plan to come to pass. That is what it is. So don't see yourself as, oh, I'm helping machines to work. No, you are actually helping the company to achieve their strategic plan. And if they achieve the strategic plan, you get a pay raise or you get some level of accolades. You also feel more important within that particular space. So it's very important that as a property manager or facility manager, especially if you work within a corporate setting, your role is not just fixing taps or plumbing issues, electrical issues. No, you have to look at where is this company going to and how can I help them to get there. So what are the things you need to do? Understand the corporate strategy plan. Number two, connect your goals to their business goals, right? If they are looking at increasing profitability and you know that if there is no light, it will affect that profitability, please reduce downtime or eliminate it. Then be proactive, not just reactive. Collaborate across department. Please let me say this, that if you like, don't collaborate. These guys, especially finance, they'll fall your hand. They'll fall your hand. So collaborate across department. Make sure they are your friends. No matter how you fight, make sure you are still friends with them. These finance guys, the legal guys too, and HR, please work with them. Let them know that yes, you are spending money. We are spending money to achieve a goal, right? And make sure you make them understand what you want to achieve. And that goal must not be your own goal. It must be the corporate goal. Then track your KPIs. What are the things that matters most? There are certain things that are important, but they are not urgent. There are certain things that are urgent and they are also important. Please prioritize certain things. Very important. Then what are the key activities in real estate planning? What is real estate planning? Real estate planning is about planning how to buy, how to optimize the value, and how to reduce risk. Very important. If you're able to reduce risk as an FM, they will respect you better because you have helped them to save money. What does a lawyer do within a corporation? A lawyer helps to reduce risk and, of course, make more money by that risk reduction. So what are the key activities that you should prioritize? Number one, you should prioritize needs assessment. Why do you need the property? You should select the site based on visibility study, right? Don't just pick a land or a building blindly. No. Is it going to help us? Then financial planning, budgeting, right? You can see that an FM is like an holistic person. You have to plan your finance. Your budgeting must be top notch. You must plan the money and how you want to spend it. Then I would advise you read books. Read books on assets and liability. One of the books that can help you is Cash Flow Quadrants by Robert Kiyosaki, right? You must know how to plan money. Where is this money going to? Is this particular thing asset or liability? So when you speak, they will listen to you. If you're always about assets, it means that you're always about making money for the company. They will listen to you. Very important. Then all the legal compliance, risk assessment, stakeholder engagement. Stakeholders, they are very important. Anything you are doing, make sure you identify the stakeholders. If you are building, who are the stakeholders in building industry? Number one, realtors, lawyers, the regulatory authorities, LAPCA, LASPA, LASRA, a lot of the LSST, a lot of them, Safety Commission, Ministry of Environment, there are a number of them. So please outline them and see what are the approvals that you need to get from them, and then see how to start prioritizing those approvals. Very important. Then you must also implement roadmap, define different phases, right? Okay, you want to acquire the property. After acquisition, how do you refurbish, renovate, or do some things to touch it up? Then leasing and sale. Sometimes you may need to put your banner even before you start doing all this paparazzi so that you can start getting tenants, right, that will be making inquiries so you can save time. You don't just say, oh, let us finish everything then, because you're also about time. If the tenant comes in January, that means the rent will start counting by January. But if imagine you left everything and say, okay, we are going to take 3 months to do this, so let's finish, then we'll now put up the banner. No, put up the banner, right? And then get inquiries, screen people before that time, the management of the property. Also, what are the stakeholder involvement in planning? When you are planning too, please make sure you involve all the critical stakeholders in your company so that they will not fall your hand when you need them the most. You are the one, that these people, they are stakeholders, right? I can give you stakeholders generally, which I'm going to do, but you are the one, you are the, let me call it, the local man in that place, and this. In fact, sometimes maybe the driver of the CEO, may be a stakeholder. For people who understand this, they know what I'm trying to say. Some drivers are even more powerful than a PA. So know your stakeholders and know how to deal with them, right? There are certain stakeholders that if you deal with them very well, if the boss is going to be in the office, they will call you and say, this guy will be in the office. Please, it's very important. So identify the key stakeholders. Yes, I can tell you, okay, customers, shareholders, workers, this one, that one, government and all that. But you need to study your facility. There are certain people that will not be able to tell you. You are the one to now study and say, these people are very important. There are certain people that if you go ahead to do certain projects, they'll just be looking at you. They'll just be looking at you. But that project may not be successful, no matter how well planned, right? I remember when we did uh, space planning and move management in FMMC. One of the things that architect OC said was that in some cases, I just want to refer to stakeholder. You want to move from one office to the other. You need to go and meet the DPO of that particular place and say, see, we are moving from to this particular place at so time. You collect the person's number, because you may get to a point they will stop you and they will tell you to start producing receipts for all the items in that particular truck. Then tell me how you are going to do that. So these are certain things. So this, I'm just trying to tell you that it's not something that I can exhaust. You are the one to study and say, okay, this is what I want to do, and these are the stakeholders, right? And you must engage them early so that they will not say, you went ahead, you were doing it, you did not tell us, no problem. Then there should be transparent communication. Feedback integration also. How do you get feedback from them? How do you resolve disputes? Please, disputes will arise. We are human beings who step on each other's toes. How do you resolve disputes? Then community and government relations. If you are doing large construction, you are an FM, community will come, things like that. Documentation and accountability, all of these things are very important. Now, managing and purchasing real estate. When you want to purchase real estate, an FM ensures that the property is fit for purpose. Fitness for purpose is as important as buying it. If it's not fit for purpose, if it's not cost effective, then there's no point. And your involvement must help the company to reduce post-purchase surprises. These things usually happen. Some people have bought properties in the past and they discover that they bought from the wrong person. Like the person doesn't imagine. There was a particular story of a tenant. No, was it a tenant? Was it a tenant? I think, yeah, I think it was the person managing the place that sold the property. I think there was a particular story of a particular person, a tenant that sold the property, presented fake documents and all of that. So if you're an FM and then you say, oh, wetin lawyers dey do sef and then you bought the property on behalf of the company, no search and all of that. Don't forget that some companies do not have an internal lawyer, like a legal executive within the company. So sometimes you may be the one doing all of these things. First, if it's not your area of expertise, you need to advise them to do accordingly and make sure it's by mail, right? So that they can get a lawyer to do the due diligence. If you front everything, you are likely to enter into trouble. So make sure your involvement will reduce post-purchase surprises. I've shared one of them, and also enhance return on investment for the client. How do you acquire real estate? Needs assessment, site selection, technical and operational due diligence, very important. Engagement in financial and legal review, acquisition and handover. This is the process. The first thing is, do we need this property? That's needs assessment. The second thing is that, okay, this is what we need, right? This is what we need. So with that mindset of what you need, you know that you can't get less than 5 bedroom, or you don't know that you can't get less than 500 square meter of space. If it's not 500 square meter, it cannot accommodate you. So you know that that's what you need. So if you get 300, you know that that's not your own. So you select this site, you evaluate it, then you now begin your due diligence. Technically, can it work? Operationally, can it also work? And can you also add legal due diligence also to this? Very important. Then the next thing is that you begin to engage money, financial and legal review. Is it something that is worthwhile? Right? Another thing is that the legal aspect of it. Also, then you can acquire and hand over the property to the company. Property acquisition, there are other options. If you don't want to buy, there are other options that you can use, right? You can use lease. There are long-term lease that can take up to 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, Short-term lease, let's say for 3 years and 1 year, thereabouts. So, but these are property acquisition options. You can purchase, outright purchase. You can use mortgage. You can use installment plan, right? But outright purchase is most effective, is the best. But if you don't have money, go for mortgage. If you don't have money, go for installment plan. But know that they come with their risk. Mortgage comes with its risk. There's what called foreclosure. If you don't pay, they can foreclose the property. They will chase you out of the place. Installment payments can also come with its problem. Most times when they give you long installments, it means that the property is not built. That's what we call off-plan property. That means you bought it based on the plan. It has not been built. Now, in that kind of situation, they may not deliver. So please, you have to be well versed about the industry so that you can guide your clients appropriately. You know that most Nigerians don't value consultancy. So they may not want to be asking different people about something. They would like you to give them holistic advice on that particular property, and you should be able to help them. Lease is another option, long-term lease, short-term lease. Then some properties can be by inheritance or gift. Wills, inheritance from family, benefactor. Some family members can just dash you and say, okay, take. So it can come from there too. What are the documents that come with property acquisition? These are key documents that facility managers must know. As an FM, don't say, oh, I don't know. You must know. Number one is deed. A deed of assignment shows that the property has been transferred from the seller to the buyer. That's what it does. It shows transfer of property from the seller to the buyer. Contracts of sale shows that there's an agreement that we are going to transfer the ownership. Can you see the difference? Most times, contract of sale is used when you cannot pay in full. So you have a document to show that there is a property transaction between the seller and the buyer. Very important. So that's what contract does. Then survey plan shows the boundaries of the property. Certificate of occupancy shows that the government has given you proof of occupancy. The government recognizes your occupancy. You have a title that is registered with the government. Very important. If you buy from Omonile, that is not a CFO property, except the Omonile they've gotten CFO. So if you now go ahead to register your documents, right, that is where you can get a CFO to prove that government has given you the land. Now, there are different verification processes for this document because some of these documents, they may present a fake one. So conduct property search at the land registries to confirm authenticity, and also make sure you identify encumbrances like unpaid loan, dispute, and all of that. Let me share an example. There was a particular property around Osaka, London. Those people were sent packing. Why? Because the person had an unpaid loan on that land, and he sold the land. The people built on it, and it turned out to be a very disappointing experience. So it is very important that you take note of this, that you are able to verify and identify encumbrances like unpaid loans and disputes tied to that property. Encumbrances like litigation. If there's a court case on that particular property, it can also be a very a very great surprise, So now, what are the different land titles? So if you want to buy an FM, as an FM, you are ready to buy, the company is ready to buy. What are the different land titles that we have? We have freehold. Freehold means that the property is free from government acquisition. That means government has no interest in that place. Leasehold title means that the government, the ownership right is limited to a particular period. So usually C of O is for 99 years, right? This is not a title class. I would have taken you deeper, but just understand that a leasehold title is a title that is for a specific duration. Then we have excision. Some properties come with excision title. Excision is, it means that government has released the land to the communities. So the land was formerly under acquisition. That means government had interest, but government later released it. Now, gazette means that government has now published it in a gazette. It means that they've now published it, right? They've recorded it in their own record and published it. So a gazette is like a government newspaper, right? That they use to publish laws and excise land. So that's that. Then government allocation is what is very common now. It means that government has allocated the land to you, right? That means allocation straight from government. So it will show your name and the size that has been allocated to you. A certificate of occupancy is a title that guarantees that the government has granted you the right to occupy that land. It's usually for 99 years for residential. For commercial, it's usually less than that. What are the regulatory authorities that you should take note of as an FM when it comes to real estate? Urban Planning Department. So LASPA, majorly LASPA, the Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority. In other states that you are in, make sure you know the Urban Planning Department in that particular state. Now, land registry is also very important when it comes to registration of your ownership and title verification. That is the office that you deal with lands. We call it lands, popularly known as lands. Then environmental agencies, very important. You must also know them, right? In whatever name they are called in your state, right? These guys, they can disrupt your activities. So please make sure you know about them. Service charge administration is also very important in real estate, right? If you're an FM, how do you manage the administration of service charge within your estate? First, you have to understand the basics of service charge. What are the things that these service charges cater for? Electricity, common area, cleaning, and all of these things. Please specify them. You have to have your budget and planning top notch, right? There should be a clear cost breakdown. Anything that is not clear. I remember somebody sending me a quote the other day, and he said materials so amount. That's not how to send it. That's not a clear cost, because you are saying material. What kind of material? Okay, material A is called so. This is the amount. B, this is the amount. That's a clear cost. But if you send me a round figure, that's not a clear cost, right? So then billing and collection, how do you bill them? Is it per square meter or per space? Like, okay, if you are using 2 bedroom, you pay this. If you are using so square meter, you pay this. So these are the things. Usually in commercial spaces, they use per square meter, right? So you can share the budget based on the square meter, and then you know that, okay, if you are using 200 square meter, so square meter, so amount per square meter times the 200, right? So it will help you. The expense management and transparency, please. This one is very important. If they feel that, each time, I know some people, especially Nigerians, when they see that FM has changed his car or FM has bought a new car, this guy that came here then without a car, he has bought a new car. Are you sure he's not using our money? So if you have been transparent, they will see that no, it's not our money, right? So then stakeholder engagement, communicate early with tenants, with on the service charge component and the usage. Then legal compliance too. Anything that has to do with the lease agreement, Nigerian laws, in relation to service charge, please make sure you comply. If you have to issue receipts, make sure you issue them receipts. For service charges, issue receipts is one of the things that the law states. That if you are collecting charges apart from states, whatever you have collected. Now, let's look at leasing real estate. This is one of the ways to make money from real estate. Lease, right? And of course, whether as a company you want to lease or as a company you have a property you want to lease, first is that you have to understand the lease structure. What are the key terms? Who handles what? Very important. So if you are a property manager, who handles what? Is it the landlord that fixes this or the tenant? It's very important so that you don't push of FM operation. So what are the maintenance obligations that you need to outline and how often do you do it? Also, you have to look at the pre-lease due diligence. How do you want to inspect the property for suitability, safety, and compliance? So before you lease it, you need to inspect it, right? You need to inspect the property and see whether the property is fit for purpose. And also, operational cost of the property, water, power, all of these things is very important. Then legal and compliance oversight is also very important in leasing real estate. What are the legal issues, compliance issues that you need to take note of? Then ongoing lease management. How do you track lease expiration as a PM, a property manager, a facility manager? Lease expiration. Some tenants, they are rent to is already due and they will not tell you, right? Until you reach out to them. So can you reach out to them 1 month before so that they can, of course, plan for it? Even if they tell you they've forgotten, they won't tell you they have forgotten, but because you have reached out to them. Then renewal deadlines, all of these things, and maintaining strong landlord-tenant relationship. This is very important because at the end of the day, you are managing human beings. Then as an FM, there are different lease options that we have, right? And you need to understand the terminologies that are used. If it is rent, it means that it is less than 3 years. So from 0, or let me say from 1 month to about 3 years, maybe 2 years, 2 years and 11 months is rent. But anything 3 years and above, it is a lease. That is what it is called in law, right? Rent and lease, they are not the same thing. Please note that as an FM. Then long-term lease helps you to for stability of your cooperation so that at the end of 1 year, they are not sending you packing. So it can be a key FM consideration when you are trying to look at whether you want to rent or you want to lease. Then also, rent and lease options, there are certain options. We have a full service option, we have a self-service option. So for a self-service option, the tenant will cover the operating expenses when it comes to generator, water, all of those things, electricity, the tenants cover it. A full service option, the landlord will cover the operating expenses. Tenant will now pay for it in form of a service charge. Please, this is very important. When you are bringing people into an apartment, let them know what it is. This is a self-service option. Though don't expect the value of a full service option, right? So that they will not call you in the middle of the night. You know how these people can be sometimes. So please, very important that you make them know that, right? And because people want to get the value of Lekki for the money of Ekpe or the money of Badagry, please, it's very important. Make sure you let them know. Then make sure you spell out communication channels, emails, tenant portals if you have that, regular meetings, WhatsApp group. WhatsApp is very effective, but in some cases, some people will not read their chats. So sometimes if it's very important, use SMS. If it's much more important, place a call. Place a call, please. Place a call. This is very, very important. Now, when it comes to real estate, sometimes people will say, no, no, no. Purchasing real estate is not the best. Let's go for lease. These are the consideration. Why should you purchase? Why should you lease? Right? You look at long-term control over the property. If you are purchasing, you have that control long-term. You build your asset value. You allow for full responsibility and all of that. But if you are leasing, yes, it will be cheaper when it comes to upfront cost. However, it does not help you to plan long term, right? Then for lease too, it helps faster access to operational space. So you can easily get the property because the money is not as expensive as buying, right? But there is limited modification rights. There are certain modifications you cannot do. If you want to use solar, the landlord can say, no, you can't put solar on my roof, right? So these things are things that you need to uh look at. Then how do you handle late payments, service charge, rent? If you are a property manager, rent. If you are an FM, service charge, all of these things. First, make sure you do reminder notice. It will help you a lot, whether by SMS, email, WhatsApp, all of these things helps. In most cases, I won't advise you to place a call because they will shout at you. Some people are just angry over anything. So it will help you if you can send email, SMS. At least they will get one. WhatsApp, you'll get one, right? Before the due date. Then ask your lawyer to also draft a fixed tenancy agreement. So this is a bonus for you that you are in this class because it's a lawyer that is teaching it. So I can tell you this. When you draft a tenancy agreement, make sure it's a fixed tenancy agreement. What does that mean? It means that you don't need to serve a 6 month notice, right? Once the tenant comes in, there's a fixed term from 1st January 2025 to 31st December 2025. As soon as that period elapses, that tenant is expected to leave, right? But the tenant can renew it, but he has to make an application for renewal. But if you just say, oh, you have collected rent, moving, it means that you have to serve a 6 month notice. And sometimes it's not easy to serve 6 months. Let me be sincere with you. Because sometimes it may be 4 months into the expiration or 2 months. In fact, sometimes 1 month. I don't want the tenant again. What do you do? It's very hard. So now, then also the legal recourse. Make sure you serve the proper notice. If you are going to evict the tenants, make sure you serve the proper notice, whether it's 6 month notice, 3 month notice, as the case may be. If it's a yearly tenant, it's 6 months. If it's a quarterly tenant, it's 3 months. Dispute resolution options that are available, you can use mediation. So it's not every time that you have to go to court. You can use mediation. You can also try arbitration. It may be more expensive. It's only for properties in Ikoyi, yeah, because it's actually very expensive to do arbitration. But you can also go to court if every other thing fails. But mediation can be very helpful. What are the legal checklists that you need to know? Number one, never evict a tenant without duly following the due process. Please, I just gave you an example of somebody who acted like, and then he almost went to jail. Please, make sure you are very careful. Act within the law. And please, I was speaking with a colleague yesterday and he was telling me about a particular landlord that is pushing him to do certain things that is not legal. Please don't do it. Please don't be overzealous, don't be overzealous. Make sure you act within the law. Then serve required notices based on the agreement between the landlord and the tenant. So for tenancy law of Lagos State, sorry, I can't compile all the laws in other states, but for Lagos State as an example, a yearly tenant, you need to give 6 month notice. For a 6 month tenant, you need to give 3 months notice, right? Very important. Now, for a 3 month tenant, you have to also give 3 months notice. So don't demand or collect rent in excess of 1 year. That's what the law says. Then make sure the tenant signs a tenancy agreement. Very important. Then your prospective tenant form must be very exhaustive. When I say exhaustive, you must ask all possible questions and must also be protective of the landlord's interest. One of the questions I asked in my form is that, are you or or anybody will be occupying this apartment into internet fraud is there, because there was a time EFCC said they'll start arresting landlords. That landlords, who are the owners of the houses where internet fraudsters are staying. So, but if that question is already there and you say no, of course, I can use that as an evidence, right, to protect the landlord and myself. So don't allow agents to run the show. Please be in charge. Sometimes agents will say, don't worry, we'll do this, we'll do that. They'll promise heaven on earth. Please be in charge as an FM. This is very important. As a facility manager, you are not just managing spaces, you are not just a space caretaker, but you are a strategic partner in real estate decisions. So they will ask you certain questions as to why they want to put a lot of money into this particular real estate assets. So you must understand cost, flexibility, operational impact of whether to purchase or to lease. And your analysis must be top notch. So each option, of course, whether to purchase or lease, will have their advantages and disadvantages. And your consideration of whether the property is fit for purpose, cost efficiency, and long-term value is also very important. So your role is mostly that of a data analyst and also a risk analyst, trying to look at data, comparing data, and also assessing the risk, right? Then you can now come up with a decision. So your real estate choice will shape how your organization will function and how people will look at your organization. There are certain organizations that they have good engine, but they don't have good body. What does it mean? They have good people, they deliver top-notch services, but their building does not show that level of branding, and it will affect their profitability. So as an FM, you are the center of that influence, and you are the best person to advise them on what to do. I trust that I do it better. Thank you very much. All right, so I'll take questions now. If you have any question. Justice, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, all right. Maybe you can moderate this session.
All right. If there's any question you can ask, I can see Mr. Daniel requires hands up and a few other people.
All right, thank you very much. The facilitator has dealt very comprehensively in this course. I have about 3 questions, but I'll make it brief. I believe you can hear me properly.
Yes, please.
Okay. During when you were talking of document verification, now that we have a lot of financial loan management in Nigeria, how can someone verify that a property is under loan? That is number one. And number two, you also talk about the CFO, that the duration is 99 years. The 99 years, is it based from the date you make the purchase, or is calculated based on a purchaser's age?
Okay,
And
thank you very much. So I'll answer the second question first.
okay.
I'll take the first question. So the CFO is for 99 years according to the law. How is it calculated? From the date that the CFO is issued. And one thing that people don't also take note of is when they are buying properties with CFO, they don't take note of the period that is left. So we call it unexpired residue. That means the period that is yet to be used, right? So that period is also very important. So if you buy a property that they issued the CFO, let's say 20 years ago, you have to subtract 20 years from 99 years, which will give you 79. So you know you have 79 more years for that property. However, we expect that the government will allow you to renew after the 99 years. Now, that is that. So I know I've been able to explain how you can calculate that. Now, the first question, please, can you remind me?
Yes, how do you verify that the property is under
Yes,
loan?
loans. Yes, we have a lot of loan companies. That's a very good question. Thank you, Mr. Daniel, for asking that question. That's a very good question. There are a lot of loan, mortgage, this one, that one. So, yes, let me say this and be very straight with you. It's actually not very easy and comprehensive to check whether somebody has collected loan or not. Let me give you the reason why. The reason is because you just do your best. And when I say your best, go and check at the land registry. Because normally, if anybody has collected loan on a property that is registered, that person is expected to go and register it at the land registry. So that when we check, we'll see that, oh, this property has been used as a security for a particular loan. However, some people don't do it. And sometimes even people that you expect that they will do it, some banks, they will not still do it because of the cost of registering all of that. But the thing is, if you have done your best to be able to do all of these things, that will help you. At least you have something to show that you did your verification. So the fault of not registering it is not from you, right? So as an FM, you have done your verification at the land registry. And I hope that at a point in Nigeria, we can have a website where people can go and check and verify loan, right? And be able to, because a lot of companies, a lot of loan companies are here and there. So how do you get to know? It is actually very hard. As of today, we don't have a comprehensive way of getting it, but do your best by checking at the land registry, which is the official avenue where people can register such encumbrances. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Please, the very last question is about the law that you don't demand or collect rent in excess of more than 1 year from it.
Okay.
What if the tenant demand to pay more than 1 year? Is it illegal to collect it?
Ah, Eh, that question is, I can teach you how to go about it, but I would prefer maybe a personal session. Yeah, because this is not something that I should share publicly. But there are ways to go about it. Because if the tenant is offering it and the person collecting it, it is both illegal, right? So whether is the tenant that is offering it or you are the one that is, both ways, the law says that it is illegal. So, but it can only be a personal session that I can share that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Send the full name.
All right, Justice.
Yes, sir.
Who is next?
Mr. Innocent, you can go ahead.
Evening. Evening.
Good evening.
Please, my question is on this property management and facility management. The facilitator has been interchangeably, mixing these two portfolios together. Sometimes I overhear him making a comment of the facility manager, getting involved in rental activity. But he earlier felt it clear on one of the slides on the core responsibilities of a facility manager and the core responsibilities of the property manager. But based on his explanation, property manager's responsibility is encroaching that of the facility manager. So I want you to really elaborate this for more clarity, so that in terms of it should be definitive. Let's really know in the area of real estate, the core areas the facility manager need to anchor on.
Hello.
Okay. Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. That's a very good question, Mr. Innocent. The reason why I did some overlapping is because of the fact that, in our context in Nigeria, every Nigerian wants to do everything. So let me give you an example in the same industry. Uh, those who are not even in the FM space at all, they do things. Let's say an agent, a property agent, after selling the property, will manage it. Am I right? Am I right, Mr. Innocent?
Yes, you are right. You are right.
Sometimes too, you discover that lawyers too will play the role of an agent. They will sell properties. Sometimes agents, sometimes, which is illegal, they will draft documents that is meant for lawyers to do. So these are Nigerian context issues. But for academic academic sake, for you to know what are the difference between these two guys, usually one of the most definitive difference is the fact that a property manager interfaces mostly with the tenants when it comes to tenant management with rental payments. That's what it does. Rental payments. In fact, that's like the major thing. Oh, I need somebody to be in charge of this tenant, to be collecting rent and remitting to the landlord and all of that. That's the major thing that a property manager does. Of course, if it's a self-serviced apartment, they will service the things themselves, except certain things that is meant for the landlord to do. But a facility manager is a broader perspective. And the reason why I use the interchange, in some cases too, you find out that an FM within an estate, you will see an FM also managing tenants. Why? Because in Nigeria, we don't really define these things. A facility manager is supposed to be, when it comes to the functionality of the facility, that is where you should see him, right? Oh, anything that has to do with functionality of the space, safety, and all of that, that is where it comes in. But in some cases, you still see that overlapping. But let's just forget that there's an overlapping. These two guys, the property manager sees to rent. The facility manager sees to functionality of the space. So it depends on the context. Now begin to streamline into different areas. But these are like one of the general distinguishing factors for these two guys. I hope that clarifies the point.
It's clear.
All right, sir. Who else has a question?
Okay, my hands has been up. Mr.
Okay,
Daniel.
Mr. Daniel. Aja. Is it Aja or the Aja that we know in Lagos?
I'm combining the two.
Okay, let's have it.
Okay, yeah. I just want to know, in the area of real estate acquisition, like you explained to us, maybe as an FM, I want to advise maybe I see a choice property and I want to advise my company to go for it, which there might be other interests from other parties also. Considering all the requirements that I need to get in order to confirm that this property is fit for acquisition, what are the things that would make me to get my confirmation faster? The thing that would help me to get all the documents, to confirm all the documents I need to know that this property is safe for acquisition. That's number one. Then number two, in the
Okay,
area
are
of
you trying to say what will help you to confirm faster before they sell to other parties?
yes, what are the things
Okay.
that will aid me to confirm faster than other, to confirm all the needed
Okay.
legal things, and also other areas like the location, the all the things we explained to us
Okay.
that we need to confirm before we acquire. So then another one in the area of tenant eviction. Maybe I'm trying to give a tenant quick notice. What's the best time to do it? Is it before the expiration of the rent, or after the expiration of the rent as opposed to? Or is it legal, maybe when the rent is still there or after the rent? When is the best and which one is legal? Thank you.
Okay. All of you have asked very good questions in this class. So I'll start with the first one. How do you make it fast? I understand your point, and I usually face such things too. When people approach me and they say, okay, they want to do property verification and all that, how can you make it fast? Yes, you can prioritize being fast, but also prioritize the quality. That's number one. Don't sacrifice quality over speed, right? That's number one. Number two is the fact that, yes, how do you make it fast? You must have been working with a property lawyer. So work with a property lawyer. Not all lawyers are into property. That's one of the mistakes Nigerians also make. We have property lawyers, we have lawyers who are doing other things, right? So specifically work with a property lawyer. It can help you to get your results faster. Now, that's being said, but please prioritize quality over speed, because that investment is millions of naira. So that's that. Now, um when do you serve notices? Usually as an FM who is financially conscious and you want to make more money or good money, let me say, not necessarily more money, good money for your clients, you need to serve before it expires. The law did not say you cannot serve before it expires. So you are supposed to serve. So as lawyers, what we do is to serve 6 months before the expiration. So the person uses the 6 months within his rent. Some people have argued and they've had issues with us and say, why will you serve me notice within my rent? My rent is supposed to expire, then you now serve me notice. Before I became a lawyer, I used to think that was it, right? Because people will now tell you, when I finish my money, I will now use 3 months, I will now use 6 months free. No, there is no free food in Freetown. You are supposed to pay for it. So if you are getting 6 months, no, you can serve as an FM, you should serve before the expiration. So take, for example, the rent will expire December 31st this year. Then you should serve latest June 30th, so that it start counting from 1st of July to December 31st. This is very important. So you don't start, except in cases where the landlord did not communicate to you early, and then maybe the tenant has used up maybe 2 months already. Like now, the rent expired December and the landlord is asking you to serve now. Of course, it's not up to 6 months, so it will overlap, right? And a tenant that you want to eject the tenant will most likely not pay you for the excess period. However, can you get it in court? Yes, you can get it, but how much is the money that you want to go to court? So you consider all of that. So you should serve before the expiration, not after, as an FM that is financially conscious and you're looking for good money for your clients. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I answer, but sorry, sir. What if in the case maybe it's after the expiration that one thing lead to another that I discover I need to evict this person?
So in that case, you be the one you lose that period. So that 6 months, it will be without pay, most likely, because in normal situation, I'm just trying to be practical. It's not like you cannot demand for the money, but you cannot ask somebody to leave and still be demanding for rent for that 6 months. They won't pay you, most likely, in the most practical sense of it. So the best is to serve before, but if your hands are tied, you couldn't serve before and you have to serve after, just know that you lose that 6 month payment, but the tenants can still get that period. The law says 6 months, so you still have to serve the 6 months, nevertheless.
Okay.
Right. I hope we are good.
Please, I don't know whether I would be allowed to make maybe a small comment on that issue of facility manager and the project, the project manager, property manager.
Yes,
So
you can. I don't know if
based
we still
on
have
what
more time. Our time is up already. So maybe you can do that very quickly.
okay, based on how I have experienced it, when a small period I worked with Max-Migold. So my facility manager then, he was only in charge of maintenance, in charge of some other things, but they had another person that is in charge of the rent. So which sometimes if the tenant comes and the person is not around, he might also call the facility manager, okay, help me open this place for this person, let this person check. But in the area of payment, the facility manager will not even know again how much or how they collected it. So to an extent, it is the landlord or property owners that gives facility managers or property managers their role that they would play, to my own understanding. And again, in the area whereby, just like we explained, maybe they have a facility and they have different property owners within that facility. We discover that we now have the facility manager, as we explained, and also the property manager. Maybe different property owners might decide to have different property manager that will be managing their property for them. So that clearly defines the different roles. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for adding your thoughts to that. Thank you very much. Justice, you can take over for me.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel. It was a lovely class. I'm sure everyone enjoyed it. Now we'll bring the class to a close and see you all next week.